£3,000 is a very popular price point for people wanting to buy a brand new bike. But what is the best way to spend that money? I've been joined by Simon and we're going to have a little chat and work out how we would spend our hypothetical £3,000. And there's three key ways that you could go about this. You could buy a frame set and then build it up. You could just buy a bike that is worth £3,000. Or you could buy a bike that's worth less than £3,000 and then maybe upgrade your way to that price point. So Simon, what do you think? Where would you start with your hypothetical £3,000?
Well, I thought I'd start with the Alley Sprint, the Specialized Alley Sprint, which is a cool bike. It's got sort of that kind of appeal, that sort of red hook thing going on. It kind of asks to be made into a sort of custom build, really, in some ways. So you can buy the frame set for £1,600, or you can buy the complete bike. There's just one complete version of it, which is the Specialized Alley Sprint Comp, which is £105, and that costs £2,600.
And it's a mechanical 105 build,
Mechanical 105, yeah. So what I thought I'd do was just to have a look at what you get for your £2,600, and then work out how much money was left over if I spec'd it the same way myself. Are you getting value for money if you buy the complete bike, or could you do a better build if you just buy the frame set and build it up for yourself? So yeah, so it has a 105 disc group set. It has DT Swiss R470 rims, which are quite sort of basic, really low end. Turbo Pro tyres, power comp saddle, specialised zone, shallow drop bar and alley stem, super sticky cush bar tape, which is quite cool, nice, yeah. I worked out that if you buy all that stuff separately, you know, you're looking at the online retailers, you're looking at sort of wiggle and chain reaction. I got it to come to a little bit less than that, building it myself, a little bit less than the 2,600. There was actually 60 quid to spare. And so if I was doing that for myself, I would that would mean I could upgrade the tyres to the Turbo Cotton Helen North tyres, which I do, which are the really nice ones. And they have 320 TPI cotton casings, and so they're going to really improve the ride a lot more over those quite basic turbo tyres. So there you go, I've just saved myself 60 quid just like that. Some really nice tyres, and they would improve the ride quality, and they look really nice as well.
And that's still at that 2,600 mark, so the build you came up with actually totaled £2,540.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
So if £3,000 really was your ceiling, you've still potentially got some money to spend. Yeah. What would you do then? So in that scenario, I'm guessing you would rather opt to build up a frame set?
Yeah, I would actually. I think with the frame set, it's nice to give yourself the option. It's nice to shop around. I think it's nice to put your own sort of stamp on a bike anyway. You know, you can choose what you want on it. You can make it look better. You can make it ride better. You can make it lighter, which is quite a big thing.
And I guess a big thing from a bike fit point of view as well is that the bars, the stem, you can make sure that you buy the right widths and correct lengths that suit your own bike fit. So from the get-go, essentially it's going to fit you straight away.
Exactly that, yeah. I mean, if you've had a recent bike fit, I mean, I have, so, you know, I've got my measurements right there. Whenever I'm sort of building up a bike, I can just get the tape measure out and I know what I need. And it's a much more time-effective even way to do it like that, as well as cost-effective, I would say. Okay, Sam, £3,000, what are you going to do?
Okay, so starting with a frame set build, and it actually relates to the bike that we've got behind us, this Trek Amonda ALR, which is actually still very new. This bike is offered in two builds, a 105 mechanical build and a 105 Di2 build, but it is also offered as a frame set. So I've taken the frame set and I've gone with a 105 mechanical group set because you can get them online for pretty good money. I found one for about £450, which is pretty good. Yeah. I have then blown a little bit more money on the wheels because I think that's a really good place to spend money. I mean, that's advice that is not new at all. So I found some Hunt 40 carbon disc wheels for £730. And then to those, I mated some GP5000 tyres, and then I inflated them with some Silka sealant because I think the Silka sealant is very, very good.
It's going to eat into your budget, isn't it?
A little bit, it has a little bit, but it's already on sale. And this is the thing, if you shop around, you really can find some of the really nice stuff for a lot less than it was originally marketed at. In terms of finishing kit, I've then gone for full Pro Vibe alloy handlebar, stem and seat post.
Nice.
That in itself will have a bit of a weight saving over and above the standard finishing kit you'd get on the stock bike. And then just because I'm a really big fan of it, I've gone for the Physique Argo Tempo saddle, and then I've gone for the Supercaz Super Sticky Cush bar tape because it's my favourite. It just feels really nice. All of those components, and there are rotors and there is a bottom bracket in there as well, that actually came to £2,866. So I'm just shy of that £3,000 budget. Now, if you were to build in a labour cost for building it, you could guesstimate something around £300 to have that built. You would then be at that £3,100, which makes for an interesting comparison because at £3,160 odd pounds, you're then basically at the same price for the 105 Di2 build of the Amonda. So then you're in the realms of, okay, would I rather have a 105 mechanical build but have some really nice wheels and tyres and all the right finishing kit? Or would I rather just spend all of the money on a bike that does have Di2? Personally, and I think you might be of the same persuasion, that actually I'd rather have the mechanical. It's still a good group set and you're going to get a much better ride feel out of the wheels and the tyres and having all of the right finishing kit that is the correct size for you.
I would absolutely go with that too. I think mechanical 105, we know it's really good. It really works. It just works. Yes. Di2 is like a nice to have but not essential, whereas a nice set of wheels, they're really going to improve the ride quality and make your bike a lot lighter.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. And the other thing to bear in mind as well is that if, say, for example, you were very keen to have Di2, sure, go and buy a bike with Di2 already fitted because you will be getting a better price with that group set fitted to a stock bike. Just bear in mind that if you do want to upgrade things, obviously I'd say that maybe it would just have to come a little bit later or just bite the bullet straight away and upgrade the wheels instantly, but you will obviously plough through that £3,000, imaginary price bracket we've set ourselves today. Now, I'm sure plenty of you have been typing up some furious comments saying that, for £3,000, you could get a carbon bike. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about that. So, Simon, carbon bike for £3,000, what are you going for?
Okay, I'm going to go for the Dolan REs, the latest Dolan REs. Now, I reviewed an earlier version of the REs in 2015 when it was the Ann Post Sean Kelly team bike. So I'd be really interested to try this latest REs, and I bet it's a really good bike. It looks really, really nice. It has the UCI sticker, it's a proper race bike, and it looks like really good value as well. So for that £3,000 or just over, you get a mechanical Ultegra group set. You get Xerium wheels. It looks like a decent build, but I think that I could do a better job with the frame set.
Okay.
because the frame set itself, if you can buy just the frame set and it costs £1,600, which is the same as the Alley Sprint. So there you go. So a carbon bike, which is the same cost as the Alley Sprint. And the complete Alley Sprint costs £2,600 with the 105 build, but with the Ultegra build, you get Ultegra for £3,000 with that bike. So if I was going to go back to 105, I don't mean to complicate it here, you could have some extra money for better wheels. I think we both think that's the best way to improve a bike's ride and its weight. And so I would probably spend that extra £400 and combine it with the £200 that I'd have saved, if you're following, on some of those Hunt 40 wheels,
yes,
which would cost you 700 quid around that, just over 700 quid. So, that's very slightly goes over the budget, but I think, who wouldn't go with that? They're really good wheels. I think you get a really good build there.
So actually, in this case, you're definitely saying you would prefer to go for the frame set and build it up compared to the Ultegra?
Yeah. I would go for the frame set. I would drop down to 105, and then I'd have the really nice Hunt wheels. I'd be happy with the finishing kit that it comes with, which is the Dedda Super Zero aluminium bar and stem. I've ridden those before, and they work fine. They're nice. They're lightweight. Yeah, absolutely, no problem with those.
So those Hunt wheels do ever so slightly blow the budget. So if you wanted to stay within that £3,000, is there another option?
There is. There are a set of Vel wheels from Sigma Sport, which is Vel wheels are their house wheel brand. They're carbon with 38mm rims. They weigh 1,550 grams, and they would cost you £490.
Not bad.
You'd be nicely inside your £3,000 budget with those.
Ideal.
And they're really good wheels. So at the start of the video, we determined that there are three basic ways that you can go with this. The first is to buy a frame set and build it up, and your budget's £3,000. The second way is to buy the £3,000 complete build. The third way is to buy a £1,500 bike and upgrade it with a self-imposed ceiling of £3,000. So let's have a look at that third way, Sam. What have you got for us?
Well, so I went for an Endurace from Canyon, and they do an Endurace 7, which here in the UK comes in at £1,449. Now, obviously, you could upgrade any bike that's sub £3,000. It doesn't have to be £1,500. But in this case, I thought this was a really good starting point. Now, it is worth mentioning that, of course, Canyon is a direct-to-consumer brand, so there will be inherent value there. But looking at this bike, for me, it made sense to go straight in with upgrading the wheels, the inflation system, and the tyres. So I went for the Hunt Carbon 40 rims for £730, pair of Continental GP5000s, and then of course the Silka sealant because that is my favourite. But then that left me with about £700 to play with. And this is where I was then struggling to work out where I'd get the most bang for buck. Because of course, I could spend that money on upgrading the cockpit, the seat post and the saddle to something that I really like, but I don't feel like I would actually be getting too much value for that money. So instead, while you could spend that money on the finishing kit, perhaps actually you could spend that money on a bike fit, you could spend that money on a really nice head unit, for example, a 1040 Solar. You could even spend that money on going away to Mallorca for a nice week of riding. So it's a tough one to work out where you get the most bang for buck, and I think that's going to be down to you guys, the viewers, to work out where you feel like you would get the most amount of value. I think for me, once I'd upgraded those wheels, tyres and sealant, I think what I would do is make sure I had a saddle that I really, really liked, and then I'd use the remaining money on a head unit. Now, strictly, that doesn't fall within the cost of a new bike, but I do feel like it's a good place to spend money, and it definitely would help improve the overall ride experience. The interesting thing here, though, is when you compare that hypothetical build with a £3 bike from Canyon. And for example, they have the Endurace CF8, which is £2,899, and that is a carbon frame bike that already comes with a carbon cockpit and seat post. You get decent wheels and very good tyres on there, the GP5000 STRs, and a very comfy saddle. So actually, I think in this instance, I may actually opt to go for the carbon version of the bike. And I know that you reviewed that bike, Simon, and actually you quite liked it.
I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. And the only reason why I docked it a star was because the wheels were really heavy. And in this latest version, it has upgraded wheels and upgraded tyres, so it's going to be a better bike overall. So it's probably heading towards the perfect 5 stars, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously those wheels won't really match a set of carbon deep sections. They're still not going to have the same kind of weight savings, but they're potentially good enough for the job that's needed. And given the value that you get with all of the components that are included in that, and the fact that it still comes in £100 lower than our £3,000 ceiling, I think that actually does work out to be a pretty good option in this scenario. And actually, there is also a lot to be said about building up a frame compared to upgrading a bike that you already have, because it means that you're not going to have wasted components. So for example, if I were to take that aluminium Endurace build and then change the cockpit and the seat post and the saddle, well, then you're left with a whole bunch of components that you can do not a lot with. And actually, if you try to sell those components, there isn't really a market for them because they are very bog standard. So just from a wastage point of view and just not having kind of clutter building up, again, actually, then it makes sense to kind of go down that building up a frame set route. So overall then, we've analysed 3 very different ways of building up a bike for £3,000. Overall, Simon, how would you spend the money?
I'm going to go with the frame set. You know, I want to build a bike myself. I like building bikes. I want to choose my own components. I want to make it my own individual, unique bike that's mine. And I want that freedom to choose the components that I want to ride. So for me, it's going to be the frame set.
Absolutely. To be honest, I completely agree. I love the fact that you can make everything right from the get-go. There's no wastage and everything is as you want it. The thing to bear in mind, the caveat, is that if you aren't going to build it, then there will of course be a cost in getting a mechanic to build that bike for you. So that is one thing to bear in mind. But at the same time, if it means that you never have to upgrade anything on that bike later, maybe it is worth doing it and getting your bike correct right from the get-go. Let us know down below, out of the 3 scenarios, how would you spend a hypothetical £3,000? Frame set, stock build, or upgrade a bike that costs less? Let us know down below. If you enjoyed the video, then please do drop it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and we will see you again very soon.